What's up, everybody? It's Ringside Report MMA. Tonight on the show, we're previewing UFC 283, talking Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane at UFC 285, and Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion, leaves the UFC.
Let's go!
Yes, indeed. Let's go. We got the boys in here. We're back. I was off last week due to illness, serious illness. I've not been this sick in years. Got real sick, got the flu. It's starting to come around, but I don't know if you can hear in my voice. I'm still a little banged up, but I'm getting there. Fred recommended a tremendous product to me, Dr. Fred Garcia. Got to thank Fred. I was apprehensive about the sinus rinse. I didn't want to stick water up my nose, and do all that stuff, but it got to a point where I needed relief. I couldn't hear out of one of my ears, and my hearing is still kind of wonky.
Better than cocaine, bud.
Yeah, it's good. It helped a lot. I don't know. I've never done cocaine, but
cocaine might be better.
I don't know about
Listen, man, it's a sexy voice. You and Freddie, man, are deeper. You got like that deep voice, man. Sexy chocolate.
What? Chocolate?
Man, what's up with you guys? Everybody I know is sick, man. Freddie started having sinus problems before the show started. Dave's been out. We've never missed a show.
Yeah. I'm really sick when I cancel a show. You know what I mean?
That's rare, man.
We never cancel a show. What's that?
It happened once a long, long time ago.
Yeah. But it's very rare that I'm so sick that we actually cancel a show. Shout out Doug Hepburn, dropping a super chat before the show even started. He says, "Hey, boys, playing hockey. We'll catch up later." He's playing hockey tonight. So he's not watching now, but he's going to watch later. He says he's betting on UFC in Ontario is back on. Give us some winning picks. All right. I didn't know that. So good for Ontario. They got UFC betting back, and we'll definitely give you some winning picks in a bit here. We can get started. I'm pretty hyped for the fights. I've been doing a lot of research. Shout out to everybody watching us live. You can drop a super chat. You can do what Alice Shanks did. My man Sandro renewing his membership. You can become a member if you're not a member yet. Join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. And, subscribe as well. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. We're here every Thursday night talking MMA, and we're here every Saturday night when there's a UFC pay-per-view like we will be this coming Saturday night. UFC 283, the watch-along. AJ, are you excited about a watch-along coming up Saturday? Are you coming over? Are you going to be here in studio with me?
I'm going to be wearing my mask. I'm going to be all geared up.
Great.
Listen, man, who knows what you have? Maybe you have COVID, dude, and you don't even know
I don't. No, I tested myself for COVID.
1.5.
XB.
Yeah,
now it's called the Kraken. There's a new one called the Kraken. I'm like, isn't that a hockey team? You know what? Now, man, I'm telling you. I'll tell you what works.
I'm all right, AJ. I'm not contagious anymore.
I'm listening to Dr. Freddie from now on. I'm not listening to any more of those, that's what I'm using. Screw the rest.
Alex Terrace says AJ is the best thing on this show. I got to disagree on that.
So
what about
do I,
Dave?
but hey.
What about Fred?
Dave is the genius. Fred is the genius. I'm just a comic relief. But I know my shit. That's the difference. Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
Listen, man. I feel bad for Freddie with his knee out, man. But I've been jiu-jitsu, man. I've been going hard all week, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I'm feeling –
but kids or guys, adults?
Adults. Yeah. Really.
At a real jiu-jitsu school or just kind of – you haven't gone to the actual place.
I can't lay out the facts because I'm training sort of like
you're
incognito.
You're beating up the 70-year-olds at the YMCA.
Yeah,
white belt.
Man,
no
listen,
experience.
I'm gonna tell you something. No, lots of experience. But the thing,
get him, Fred.
70 years is lots of experience. But I'm gonna tell you something. I've been doing a lot more like no gi, just because the guys do mostly no gi.
That's right.
But again,
no
I always say this, man. You gotta do gi. You got to do gi.
I don't know if you have to.
I saw a buddy of mine share a picture of his fingers this week, and I said to myself, I don't miss the gi.
You got it torn off? He was holding too. He was holding his grips too long.
His little pinky was weird.
It popped off. Yeah, it happens, dude. And that's the problem with gi, because if you're holding the grips, man, and you're holding and you get torn out, and you don't let go, man, you could pop your – it happens, man. It's a dirtier game. Gi is a dirtier game.
Yeah, gi gi jiu-jitsu and no gi jiu-jitsu, it's different. You know, there's places where you can kind of chill in no gi that you can't chill in gi, and vice versa. You know, there's different ways to kind of operate.
Listen,
I'm not a big fan of I just prefer no gi, you know, but that's just me. Everybody's got a preference, and it's cool either way. I like doing no gi jiu-jitsu better because I'm not, like Fred was saying, with the fingers and stuff, like the gripping and the grabbing of the collar and the gi, the hard material and twisting it around. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that. I never got into that, and I was never very good at it either. So that's one of the reasons why. Like, I'm not good at doing those collar chokes and stuff. Like, I'm better at doing no gi moves than gi moves, you know? So
No, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something. You know, with gi, the thing is, like I said, it's a dirtier game. It's a trickier game. It's like you could do things that obviously you can't do in gi, no gi, I should say. But, like, you know, someone said, like, you know, can you choke with a belt? I'm like, yeah, if it's there, man, I'm choking you out. If the belt happens to be there and I can choke you out, it's part of, like, the attire. Anything goes, right? The only thing that I love doing is, like, an Ezekiel choke in no gi as opposed to doing it in gi. It's so much easier, like, you know, trying to get the Ezekiel in gi because no matter what angle you're on, your back, on top, you're rolling, it's just easier to get that closing finish. Where in no gi, obviously, you know, you get an Ezekiel and it's good, man. You can choke the guy out, but the thing is that you can fight it through so you can get out of it. I don't want the guy to fight through. I want him to choke out, but that's what I'm saying. You know what?
Ezekiel choke is not a choke that you see very commonly in no gi jiu-jitsu, and it's not a choke you see commonly like in the UFC, you know? I got into jiu-jitsu because of watching the UFC, you know, because of watching MMA, and I like to do stuff that they would do in the UFC because that's just how I got into jiu-jitsu, you know. And UFC is a no-gi sport, you know. MMA is a no-gi sport.
Not the first ones. UFC 1, 2, 3 with Royce Gracie coming in. It's
but not every. It was a different time. But it was still a no-gi sport because only Royce Gracie was wearing the gi. Like his opponents weren't wearing the gi, and a lot of gi jiu-jitsu, as you know, is using your opponent's gi against him, not really using your own as a weapon, right?
I'm just going to say, like, spectacle-wise, the no-gi is much better, and we got the proof this week because Gordon Ryan signed a big contract with Flow Grappling, 7 figures, and he's the only guy in BJJ that's making that kind of money, and I think the fact that it's no-gi, it's just a better spectacle to watch for the fans.
Yeah, and you see, like, in the jiu-jitsu world, what's really popular these days? Like, what are people watching? They're watching no-gi jiu-jitsu. Like, gi jiu-jitsu has kind of gone by the wayside at this point. Like, it exists. People are still doing it. But, like, the big competitions don't seem to get as much play as the no-gi competitions, right? Like, Gordon Ryan is the biggest name in the sport, and he does strictly no-gi stuff, right? So it seems like that's the way jiu-jitsu is going right now. More no-gi than gi. But I'm not discounting gi jiu-jitsu. It's definitely worthwhile, and it's a great sport, and you know, all that. Glover Teixeira will tell you do your gi jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt in the gi, of course. You know, he's going to be fighting Saturday night. The gi is gi jiu-jitsu is very good. I just think that gi jiu-jitsu is very good too, and like Fred said, it can be more entertaining. It could be a little bit more pleasing to the eye, especially for people who don't do jiu-jitsu themselves and just kind of have a basic knowledge of grappling, you know?
But you're absolutely right. But you know what? Like, I speaking to Murillo Bustamante and talking to guys that have been, like, legends of the sport, they always told me this: the best no-gi jiu-jitsu fighters are the best gi fighters out there. You know, and all these guys from Eddie Bravo, like, you know, Andre Galvao, you take Gordon Ryan and all them, you know, Jon Jones himself. I mean, they all do gi. You know, they all do gi jiu-jitsu. And the thing is that you can transit. Like, I'm gonna tell you something very simple.
Jon Jones was choking out black belts in gi jiu-jitsu unconscious before he ever put a gi on. Jon Jones was choking people out in the octagon before he ever put on a gi. He put on a gi late in his career.
Yeah, he did. But the thing is he still went towards that way. And the thing is that, like, you know, like, I'm just saying I love both.
I think he does it for fun.
Yeah.
Because to prepare for an MMA fight, he'll be doing no gi. I'm 100% sure on that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree with that. But I'm just saying for myself, like doing gi or no gi. I mean, I love them both. Like, I love them both. But the thing is that, if you're gonna look at like competitive wise, I can train gi jiu-jitsu for a whole year, and I could walk into a no gi class and do pretty good. But I'm saying is I could go into a no gi. I'm telling you, and I'm going to tell you, if you do no gi for a whole year and you walk into a gi jiu-jitsu class, it's going to be a bad day for you. That's what I'm saying.
AJ,
the transition is a little bit harder going from gi to no gi and no gi to gi.
I was going to say this earlier, and I said to myself, no, I won't put AJ on the spot, but I'll do it, man. If you ever come roll with me, man, I'm letting you start with an Ezekiel choke, man. We started in that position.
But that's not my position. But I can tell you this, Freddie, if I take you on side control, I'm gonna flatten you like a pancake.
Wow,
I can guarantee you that. But the thing is this: I'm gonna flatten you like a pancake. And the thing is this:
AJ, he's gonna put you back into half guard so fast you have no idea. No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
But the thing,
AJ, I'm telling you, Fred is no joke.
It's okay.
You don't.
I believe it, and I believe
you
it.
better hold
Fred
on to that side control, because if he gets you back in that half guard, you're in trouble.
No, but you got to remember, like, you got to always go to what your best game, your best part of your game is. Like Ezekiel, if it's there, I'll do it. If I can close it, I'll close it. But it's not going to be my go-to thing. I like position before submission. That's my whole game, and that's the most important thing. I like to gas people out, because sometimes you can't out-muscle guys that are like 20 years younger, super strong. It's a strategic game. It's a chess game, and it's important to do what's best for you based on your level of skills. And you know what? Everybody has their specialty. Some people are experts in leg locks. Other ones are like RNC killers. There's other guys that are like go for Kimuras, Americanas. There's guys that just specialize in certain things. I have my preferences on what I like to do to get, into the game. But the truth is that, again, like I said, you could do no gi. It's going to be, for a year, it's going to be hard to jump into a gi class. Let's be honest. But a gi guy could jump into a no gi class and still do relatively well. It's because it's, no, 100%, because it's a trickier game, and that's what I'm trying to say.
I think you underestimate no-gi
people. I've been doing this long enough to know.
Yeah,
I don't. I am a no-gi guy.
Jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. Grappling is grappling.
100% of no-gi moves work in gi.
Yeah.
How many percent? What's the percentage of gi moves that work in no-gi? Because, all the collar chokes and all that, they're not there.
That's a good point.
Sure.
That's a very good
I don't
point.
have to worry.
Listen, all my heel hooks, Achilles, everything is still there in gi.
My toe hold's gonna work in gi, no problem. No problem.
Absolutely, but I don't have to worry about the grips. I don't have to worry about sleeve grabs. I don't have to worry about collar chokes. I don't have to worry about a lot of things in no gi that I have to worry about in gi. Like anything from the transition. Sometimes, somebody can hold you down with just like their foot, their toes from their feet at times. People can, I'm telling you, there's so many things that can happen.
You got this believer. Alex Tarras is all over the chat believing in you, AJ. Says AJ could hurt us with his finger. AJ, you mess with me, I'm putting you in a go-go plata and you're going to sleep, all right? Don't even play around.
No, I believe it. Listen, I don't underestimate. Rule number one of jiu-jitsu, I never underestimate anyone. That was one thing I learned fast, because I learned one time pretty fast that, don't ever sleep on the job, man.
Here's the thing. AJ talks a big game, and AJ is pretty good at jiu-jitsu, and I believe AJ. Although Freddie and I have never actually rolled with AJ for some reason. He claims to be good, and
Freddie,
he's never
we did technical stuff. Freddie,
yeah,
I love
but you didn't roll.
Because Freddie,
you did a little.
But Freddie,
you've never.
No.
I'd like to see exactly what it is you're all about, AJ. I'm sure you're pretty good, but you talk a big game. But Freddie and I are both, halfway decent too. We just don't talk about it like AJ does. We're a little bit more in the martial arts spirit. We got more of the humble attitude. AJ, he's a little bit of a new school MMA guy, Conor McGregor type, talking a lot of trash, talking about how great he is. Freddie and I are more in the Lyoto Machida, Shogun, that type of school, old school, where we just show respect. He's pitched.
Dude, I'm more old school than you guys.
Respect our elders.
Yeah, we
AJ
respect
doesn't
our
respect
elders.
his elders.
That's why we
Respect your
don't.
elders, bro.
That's
We
why
have
we.
no elders.
That's why we defer to AJ and let him talk his trash, because AJ is our elder and we have respect for him. Yes, AJ,
But-
you'd beat everybody up. Of course, AJ, you're the best, AJ. We
No,
believe
I
you,
get tapped
AJ.
out. I got tapped out just as much as I tapped out. The thing is that you got to remember this. I always remember what Helio Gracie said. You gotta tap out 10,000 times to win, and he was absolutely right.
When you
The
were
thing is
training
that-
with Helio in his younger days, is that what you're talking about?
Dude, I wish I could have trained with Helio. It would have been I wish. Looking back, I wish I would have gone down to Brazil and be able to train with the Gracies and all that kind of stuff. And everybody wishes that too at the time. There was an opportunity when you could have done that. But you know what? Now there's an opportunity where you could just train around the corner, and you get guys that have trained at levels that are unbelievable, and they're here
Okay.
in Montreal or they're in New York. What I'm saying is, as long as you do jiu-jitsu, you do it.
That's right.
That's where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Till you meet Lee
man.
Villeneuve, and then it becomes reality sets in.
Well,
Let's
I
be
mean,
honest.
there are levels
let's
to
be
the
honest.
game, right? There's levels to
Yeah,
the game
sure.
always.
Listen,
Okay, you're talking about the old school. You're talking about a lot of great Brazilians. We're talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Obviously, we love martial arts, and we're excited about a UFC pay-per-view in Brazil. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, coming up Saturday night. I'm very excited for it. We got Glover Teixeira. You want to talk about old school? I saw
champ.
Big Nog hanging around, saying hi to Deiveson Figuereido this week. I'm seeing Glover Teixeira, old school, 43 years old. You know who he's got in his corner? John Hackleman. You know who John Hackleman is, AJ? You want to talk about old school UFC? Who's John? Don't tell him, Fred. Don't tell him. I don't know if he heard you. AJ
What's that?
always says he's old school. AJ, who's John Hackleman?
Don't know.
See? What the hell, AJ?
Sounds familiar.
John Hackleman, legendary coach of the Iceman Chuck Liddell.
Oh yeah.
He
yeah.
was Chuck's coach. He's Glover's coach. He's in Brazil with Glover. Glover going for the UFC light heavyweight title, fighting Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill
Gonna
coming
be
in.
tough, man.
Jamahal Hill coming in as a favorite in this fight.
Makes sense.
Tell me why it makes
got
sense.
Glover.
Because I'm
I got
picking Glover
Glover.
Teixeira.
Look, man, Glover's old school. Glover is everything that we've seen, man. He's got amazing grappling. His striking is deadly. He's got that veteran experience. He's got a high IQ. But he's 43 years old, guys. It's like the wear and tear is leading up. We said this time and time again. Every time we've gone to a fight, even Shogun Rua. I always want to go with Shogun Rua, man. But let's be honest. A 43-year-old guy in the UFC
Pick the Glover.
is not the same as a 43-year-old guy anywhere else. You got Jamahal Hill, 31 years old, dude. He's got a 3-inch reach. The guy has 7 finishes, 12 fights in MMA. He's not a 20 finishes by Glover. The bottom line is the guy has striking, that is above Glover. If Glover is not able to control this guy, he's going to get knocked out. And we've seen that. And you know what? It's going to be a tough one, man. I don't want to go against Teixeira, but Jamahal Hill is no joke, man. He kind of reminds me of a Jon Jones in some way. I'm telling you. He's scary.
I mean, Glover's striking.
At 31 years old,
Glover's
dude.
striking against Yuri was pretty good.
He hung in there with Yuri.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't
actually.
get knocked out. Glover Teixeira trains every day with the UFC middleweight champion, Alex. What's his name again?
Pereira.
Pereira. I was going to say
Pereira.
Caceres.
Yeah,
I was
man.
like, that's not
The
right.
Amazon.
Pereira, right? Pau Tao, right? That guy. Who's one of the best strikers in the world. And since Glover Teixeira has started training with Pereira, the middleweight champion who just knocked out Israel Adesanya, since Glover started training with this guy, he's been on another level.
True.
Right? He's been next level. He's become champion. And
He's
I
a
think
much
the
better
difference
grappler.
here, he's a great grappler. He's always been a great grappler, and his takedowns are on point. Glover Teixeira is a much better grappler than Jamahal Hill. He's miles ahead of him, and he needs to take this fight to the ground, and I think he will. I don't think it's going to be that hard. I think Glover's going to take him down, mount him, take his back, rear naked choke, tap, 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 and new Glover Teixeira light heavyweight champion.
I'm going to go for something similar. I'm going to say he's going to mount him, but it's going to end with an arm triangle. He's going to stay mounted.
We're both going with submissions, Fred. I mean, it's pretty.
But yeah, Glover got this fight, man. And I'll tell you what, at the first face-off they had, man, I don't know, man. I saw a Jamahal Hill that looked like nervous, man. Glover's been in big fights before. To me, this is like Jamahal Hill's first time in the spotlight. This is the cameras are on him, and I'm just more confident in Glover. I think Glover's been there. He's been in big fights, and he looked great against Yuri. That fight was incredible, and Glover had some very, very good moments. So I expect him to be again on top of his game and the next champ.
Yeah, I don't think Jamahal Hill would do as well against Yuri. You know what I mean? I think Jamahal Hill would have some real problems.
He's beat Johnny Walker. Like, he's beat
He's beat
OSP.
who?
Like,
he's beat who?
Look, yeah, man,
Johnny Walker. Come on now.
Well, Johnny, he got him with an overhand right. I mean, the guy has fast hands. He's got a longer reach. He's a taller fighter. And I agree with you. If Glover cannot control Jamahal Hill, who has a pretty good takedown defense, it's going to be a long night. I'm telling you, if it's a stand-up, no matter how good Glover is standing up, he's got to get on the inside, man.
Jamahal Hill, he's got heavy hands. He hits hard. He could hit Glover and he could put Glover down, but I don't think he will. I think Glover is going to be able to take the punches that come, weather the storm, get the takedown, and win the fight.
But he's got the cardio, man. He's got the cardio, Dave.
I think Hill has a slight advantage standing up, but Glover's advantage on the ground is so wide. He's got a huge advantage. If he could just get it there, he could wrap this fight up pretty quick. If he could get the fight to the ground and have 3 minutes to work, Jamahal Hill's going to have some trouble. If you look at Jamahal Hill's last fight, he beat, what's his name? Johnny Walker,
he beat
right?
Thiago Santos.
No, Thiago Santos.
He beat Thiago Santos, round and pound.
Yeah.
He smashed him in the round 4, man. He was able to control Thiago Santos, keep him on the ground, and smash his way to the win. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Thiago Santos had 2 good knees at this point because his operation was already done. He's a solid guy, great grappling, great striker, and Jamahal Hill was able to control him. And that's the thing with Glover. If Glover takes him to the ground and he's not able to control him, I'm telling you, Jamahal Hill is going to be able to get top mount, and he's going to smash his way to a win, just like he did to Santos. You know what? I love Glover Teixeira.
Since losing to Jon Jones, Thiago Santos has lost 4 of his last 5 fights.
Yeah, you're right.
Thiago Santos is not that guy anymore. Johnny Walker is the only guy that Thiago Santos has beat in the past 4 years, 5 years. Jamahal Hill, he beat Thiago Santos last fight. Yeah, it's all right. Thiago Santos is a tough guy and everything, but he's 39 years old, and he's seen better days. He hasn't been the same since both his knees got replaced, Come on.
True.
I don't think Jamahal Hill's been tested. Jamahal Hill was supposed to fight Anthony Smith. He wasn't supposed to get this title shot. This wasn't supposed to be a title fight, right? What happened in this fight was Glover Teixeira was supposed to fight Yuri Prochazka in December. But that fight got canceled because Yuri got hurt. So they offer Glover Magomed, and Glover says, no, I'll fight him in January. I need some time to prepare for Magomed. UFC turns around and says, well, forget you, Glover. You can wait. We're going to do Magomed versus Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title. They do that fight. It goes to a draw. Dana White gets mad and says, okay, next month it'll be Glover Teixeira versus Jamahal Hill for the light heavyweight title. Jamahal Hill was never supposed to be here. Jamahal Hill was never supposed to fight here. This has always been Glover Teixeira's date. Glover Teixeira's been preparing for a fight for months. He was preparing to fight Yuri Prochazka, and now he had to change it up a month and start preparing for Jamahal Hill, but he's been in fight camp. I don't know what Jamahal Hill's been doing, but Glover Teixeira looks game. He looks in top shape.
He was supposed to fight Anthony Smith.
Yeah,
so he was still preparing.
When was that supposed to happen?
I'm not sure.
Man, let me tell you.
This is the first time Jamahal Hill's been out of the United States.
It was supposed to be March 11th.
He's never left.
It was supposed to be March.
He's never left the country. The first time he leaves the country, he's in Brazil. fighting Glover Teixeira. Like that's a shock to the
It's a big
system.
step.
You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
It's a big step. There's no doubt about it. And you're right. He was supposed to fight Anthony Smith in March. Obviously, that got canceled. Who knows? Maybe Anthony's eye socket is still not healed properly. I mean, he had like quite a bit of damage
It
around
got
the
canceled
orbital
because he
bone.
got the title fight.
Yeah, I know. But you know what?
That's the reason
I'm
why it
telling
got
you, man.
canceled.
Well, yeah, you got a different fight.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is
Anthony
this, is
Smith
that,
is perfect. He's in perfect health.
well, let's hope so. But the thing is this, man.
I'm telling you.
I'm gonna go the other way, man. I really think that it's gonna be, it's gonna be tough. This guy's one of the division's best knockout artists, man. He's there, he's gonna put a lot of wear and tear on Glover. If Glover cannot handle this guy in the first couple of rounds, it's gonna be a long fight for him, and I don't think he's gonna be able to control Jamahal Hill. I think he's so underrated right now because everybody, and I'm gonna be honest, all the odd makers are giving it to Glover for submission. Yeah, if it ever gets to a point where Glover has the opportunity to get Ezekiel,
Whoa.
he's not going to let him roll.
Stop,
for example, I'm just saying,
That was an AJ
What?
fact. Time out. I got to fact check you. You're lying again. You're saying all the odds makers are giving it to Glover for submission. The odds, just to be clear, because we are sponsored by a betting site, so I just want to be clear.
Yeah, go.
Bet99.com odds have Jamahal Hill as the favorite to win, not Glover Teixeira, like you just said. Jamahal Hill is the favorite to win minus 138. Glover Teixeira plus 112, the underdog. And Jamahal Hill by knockout is plus 100. That is the odds-on favorite finish. Glover Teixeira by submission is plus 233, so is the second favorite finish. And then it goes to Glover by decision plus 700. Glover by knockout plus 650. Glover by decision plus 700. Jamahal Hill by decision plus 750. Jamahal Hill by submission plus 2,500, which, Jamahal Hill pulling off a submission is highly unlikely. Yeah. Glover Teixeira by decision plus 700 might be worth a look, Like, if it goes to decision, it's in Brazil. Who do you think they're giving it to? If it's a close fight? That's what I'm banking on in that Deiveson Figuereido fight. Some home cooking for Deiveson Figuereido.
Yeah, but
those fights are so close, the Figueiredo-Moreno fights. It's going to decision, and if they go to decision in Rio de Janeiro, they're going to give it to Figueiredo. They got to. It's going to be close.
It's going to be close, dude. That's
I got Glover by submission. Fred's got the same, and AJ's going with Jamahal Hill by knockout. Right?
Well, I'm going to say I would like to see him by knockout, but it could be by stoppage. I think that Jamahal Hill
by stoppage,
is going to ground and pound. I think he's going to go that route
as well. TKO knockout is the same thing in the betting world. It doesn't really matter.
What I'm saying is that when you're talking about submission, that he can't submit him at those crazy odds. I mean, Yuri did it. He got it by a rear naked choke. No one thought Yuri was going to submit Glover. Let's be honest. So what I'm trying to say is there could be holes in the game when you push. But the thing is, the moment you start pushing Glover, the distance, I'm telling you, Jamahal Hill's going to take this. I hate to say it, but it's going to happen in Brazil. Jamahal Hill's going to Brazil. No. I mean, it's a possibility. Who would have thought Yuri would have pulled it off? Let's be honest.
I mean, I think we all picked Yuri to win, didn't we? I think we thought knockout, but we all predicted Yuri to win. I did. That's for sure. Couldn't imagine picking anybody
predicted
else.
by knockout.
Okay. So we all got
who would have
Glover.
thought he would submit like
I'm
Glover,
surprised you're not going with the old guy, Glover Teixeira. AJ spent the first half of the show talking about how he could beat up everybody and how he's awesome at fighting, yet he's way older than Glover Teixeira.
I never said that.
He's way older than Glover Teixeira. And now he's like, Glover Teixeira's old. He can't fight anymore. I'm like, I don't know, AJ.
He's 43 years old. Not to take it away from him, but he's fighting Jamahal Hill. He's 31, man. Just a taller guy, longer reach, faster. He has the capability to manhandle Thiago Santos for 4 rounds. I think
what you're saying
the same thing to Glover,
is very possible. Jamahal Hill could win this fight. He could knock out Glover Teixeira. He's been knocking people out left and right.
Recently.
Huh? He's looked really good. He's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough
Glover's elite.
Yeah, I think Glover, that's it. He's another level. Yeah.
Thiago Santos at the best of his career was like a pretender, maybe a contender. Glover is a contender. Glover is a champion. Glover has the material to be a champion. So
yeah,
I think this is a different level.
I think Jamahal Hill is pretty good.
It's going to be a good watch.
But I don't think he's at the same level of a Magomed Ankalaev or a Glover Teixeira or a Jan Blachowicz or a Yuri Prohaska. Like, I think against those guys, the elite of the division, he'd have some problems. But we'll find out on Saturday.
Be there Saturday.
That's
it's
it.
going to be sour.
Exactly. It's going to be a crazy watch along, Dave. You bring those gummy bears.
Ooh, what kind of gummies you want to eat, AJ? What kind of gummies you want to eat? I got all kinds of gummies.
No. Regular.
All kinds.
Like, from the dipper.
AJ, I was trying to kidnap you and take you into the woods, and what is that?
Do what? Deliverance? Forget it. What is that? Skittles? Well, I love Skittles. Oh, no, not but gummies. No,
are those
Skittles? Have to be Skittles.
Are those
500
enhanced?
milligram.
Oh, what? How much? 500?
Yeah.
Ooh.
500 milligram.
Jeez, that's a good time for the UFC. 500. That's nice.
It's a little bit scary.
I had one of those 250s the other day. It was no problem. It was nice. It was a good time. I'm going to the moon, Fred. I'm on another level. As you know, Fred, we've been talking privately about what I'm up to, and I'm going to a next level. I'm going to that next level. I'm in really shopping, Fred. We have to talk after the show, actually.
DMT?
Huh? No, not that far. But I'm going pretty far. I've decided, like, I just I had a recent experience that just kind of changed my outlook on things. Anyways,
don't go local, Dave, man. Don't let me go like fish you out, man.
No. No. All in.
You gotta call Uncle Anthony. You gotta call Uncle Anthony, man, not Uncle AJ. Uncle
Don't
Anthony
worry.
to get you out of like.
I'm gonna make you do it though. I'm gonna take you into the woods and I'm gonna give you a little something. See what happens to you.
You don't want to do that, man. You see what happened the time with the cats and all that kind of stuff? No.
I'll take care of you.
I still have freaking nightmares about that day.
All right. Brandon Moreno, minus 125. Deiveson Figuereido, plus 105.
Oof.
It's
It's
close,
crazy,
man.
dude.
These two guys, this is the fourth time that they fought.
Is this the first time in the UFC a guy's gone? Yeah, in a row, pretty much.
Moreno
actually, Moreno fought Kai Kara France.
Hello.
Yeah. But for what's happening with AJ? Did AJ just freeze out?
Yeah, I
think
felt like I froze out there. What's happening?
Did I?
Everything froze out.
Oh,
I think it was you because everything froze out.
that's weird. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Deiveson Figueiredo.
It's those freaking gummies.
Deiveson Figueiredo has fought Brandon Moreno now 3 times in a row, and this will be the 4th time in a row. Like, he hasn't fought anybody else since he fought Alex Perez in November 2020. He fought Moreno in December 2020, in June 2021, and then in January of 2022. This is the 4th straight fight for Figueiredo where he fights Moreno. The first one was a draw. The second one, he lost to Moreno by submission. And then the most recent fight, he beat him by decision, which was a close fight and a close decision that I thought was going Moreno's way. I thought Moreno won the last fight.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people thought Moreno won the last fight, and maybe that's why Brandon Moreno right now is sitting at a slight favorite at minus 125, but it's so close between these two. And I know that Figueiredo's been out, I think, from an injury. Moreno fought in the meantime, fought Kai Kara France.
Yeah, and he KO'd him. So, like, he's
in July. Yeah, he looked great against Kai Kara France.
Yeah, he looked great, man.
But Kai Kara France is not Deiveson Figueiredo.
No,
Figueiredo looks great.
He's a good fighter.
But
he looks great. They're in Brazil. I'm going with Figgy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going with Moreno because I don't like the pictures of Figgy right now. Like, he's cutting weight, man. This guy looks completely dehydrated. Looks like really.
I agree with Freddie there.
And I'm like, I'm gonna predict that maybe he misses weight. So we'll see. But I got Moreno.
How could he, Fred?
I thought Moreno won. how could he miss weight? Well, I mean, he could miss
happens.
weight, man. I mean,
Jesus, have you
What
seen
do
those
you
pictures
mean?
of him? Have you
I
seen
don't
those pictures
understand
of
your
Figueiredo
question.
lately? You were talking
I
about like
know,
how much
but
weight he's
that was
cut.
from
It was
2
like
days
ridiculous.
ago.
He's like a toothpick, man.
And he still has weight to lose. So,
That
anyways,
doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna go with Moreno, and also Figueiredo's talking about fighting at 135. I think this weight cut is a little bit hard for him. So I'm gonna go with Moreno to win. And I thought in most of their previous fights, he was the guy that won the most of the rounds, and also Moreno, champ.
All right. AJ, settle it. I'm going with Figueiredo by decision. Freddie, you going with Moreno decision or submission or decision?
Yeah, decision.
AJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on Freddie's side here. I think Moreno looks like the fresher fighter. He had a good fight against Kai Kara. Like if this fight's gonna go to distance, which it probably will, I'm gonna have to give it to Moreno. He has a 38% decision in his career for taking wins. You know what? Going into Brazil, man, you would figure Figueiredo would be like the guy on top. But after seeing like those pictures of the weight cut and everything, he didn't look so good, man. And that's 2 days from the fight. There's something that is just not.
I don't know.
Not okay with him in this division.
I don't know what pictures you're seeing. I saw him on UFC Embedded. He looked fantastic. He looks in top shape. I don't know. He looks
he
ripped.
does. But he looks a little bit too dehydrated, in my opinion. But anyways, to each their own. I think, Moreno is going to take it. But this is an either-or, man. You could flip a coin. Anybody could win this fight. That's the thing. Whoever has a bad night, is going to lose. But right now, leading up to this fight, I think Moreno has the edge.
I think you guys are underestimating the power of Brazil.
I do, dude. But if it was in Pakistan,
these are Brazilians
I'd probably go
fighting
to Pakistan
in Brazil. They're at home. They're getting the love, and their opponents are getting the hate. This is another thing, man. You can't forget about Brazil. There's a third person in that octagon, and it's Brazil.
I know, dude.
It's Rio de Janeiro.
I agree, but it's not like it's Pereira that's in the ring where I'd be like, yeah, he's gonna just kick it up into like fifth. Dude, these guys have been like, Shogun Rua, Glover's on the edge of leaving. Figueiredo, man, it could be a toss-up. They're not like really like sure.
You're predicting
wins.
a sad night in Rio de Janeiro, AJ. You're predicting a really sad night.
Which saddens me to say because I love Brazil, man, but it's just not like the best Brazilians on the card.
Well, don't forget, all my Brazilian friends, everybody out in Brazil, Dave is sticking with Brazil. Dave is going Brazil all night because Brazil in Brazil is always Brazil. Here's another Brazil pick for you. Here's an easier one that I think we'll all go with. Durinho.
Oh, yeah.
Gilbert Burns.
Okay. Now we're
Mr. Burns. It's going to be an excellent night for Mr. Burns when he takes on Neil Magny. You get it? Mr. Burns, excellent. Excellent. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Simpsons. Okay. Burns minus 500, the favorite. Magny plus 350. Yeah. I think Burns beats him everywhere, especially standing up. I think he gets a knockout. It's going to be a big celebration.
Yeah, but do you want to throw in some like some stats that might make you think differently?
No.
It's Neil Magny, man. He's always underestimated.
Oh my God, are you anti-Brazil again?
No, I'm not. But I'm gonna tell you something. It's Neil Magny, and Neil Magny has a 9-inch reach. 9-inch reach, dude. Like John Holmes, he's a 9-incher, man. But I'm telling you something. It's not enough.
I don't get that reference.
Dave doesn't, I know. I knew it. I think Pat will get that. Doug will get that. Angelo will get that. Maybe Alex will get that. But
Shout
Dave,
out to Angelo. Shout out Angelo Contagonis. I saw him in the chat. Shout out Patrick C. Hamilton, who just dropped the lucky 777 super chat. He says nothing gets me excited on this card.
He's look.
Glover,
exciting.
Patrick, by the way, just took the super chat lead from Doug Hepburn.
Whoa!
And
well,
these super chats,
right now,
are hopefully going to be paying for that cabin in the woods where I could kidnap AJ. But that's a whole other story.
Listen, man, if you get me into anything, man, I'll freak out in the woods, man. I'll start seeing like Bigfoots and all that kind of shit.
It's going to be hilarious.
You gotta hold me down.
Patrick strikes again. There you go. Thank you, Patrick. He's not excited about anything on this card. I like Glover Teixeira, man. I like, that fight I think is really good. The fact that we have Shogun fighting on this card is pretty cool. He's on the prelims. It might be Shogun's last fight, Shogun in Brazil. And, Gilbert Burns, I think, is a top fighter. He's taking on Neil Magny. It's good. And Magny's tough, AJ. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, Magny is a walk in the park. He's easy. He's a tough fight, but I think that this is a very winnable fight for Gilbert Burns. I think Gilbert Burns is on another level right now. I'm surprised to see that Gilbert Burns is actually older than Magny. I kind of see Gilbert Burns as younger in the game. I guess he's been in the UFC. I don't know. He's been in the UFC for a while.
Long time, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just see Gilbert Burns on another level. The wrestling, the strength, the power.
Man.
Magny is smart. He's very smart in the cage, though. He finds ways to win that you wouldn't expect.
And he has a better striking accuracy than Magny. That's which is kind of interesting, what you were saying, because like Burns wasn't in the beginning known for his striking. It was all a grappling game. The guy is like, I think he won like, what was it, the odds? I think it was 40% of his wins come by submission. But his striking game has gotten so good that his accuracies on the stat side is better than Magny. Just the thing is that Magny has that 9-inch reach. He has great striking, but does he have like the wear and tear like Burns? Burns, man, can grind and grind and grind. And you know what? For him to lose, it's like he almost has to get killed. I don't think Neil Magny has it in him to wear him down to the point where Burns will just give up in the fight, literally. I think Burns is going to grind down Magny. I think this is the only fight right now I'm going for Brazil. Moreno should take this.
All right. So we all got Gilbert Burns.
I think Burns should win, but he's not going to be on my parlay because, first of all, the odds are really not interesting. And also, I'll just say one thing is, like, Magny is the bigger guy, so maybe the size could give some issues to Burns. Burns, he's built, but he's a little bit of a small welterweight. So I think, if anything, maybe Magny's size could give him trouble, but I'll still go with Burns for the win.
Yep. I mean, Magny is tough. He's a tough fight, for sure.
Listen.
The
if
odds
Burns
aren't
takes
great.
Magny down,
minus 500.
If Burns takes Magny down, I'm pretty sure a submission is going to happen. If it goes to the ground, Burns will be able to control him to get that submission. If you want to put something, I would go with Burns with submission. I think that's what's going to come out.
I think Burns by knockout. If he fights the way he fought with Khamzat in that last fight, I think he puts Magny out.
Magny by decision.
Listen, you know what?
Ooh, what? Are you changing your pick?
Are you? It's because I said he has a 9-inch reach.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he has he's a bigger guy, 9-inch reach, Dave, and that's the thing.
He's a decent grappler. I don't think Burns is going to tap him.
Oh yeah, he will. That's exactly what he needs to do. For him to win this fight, he needs to close the range and take him to the ground and win. Because when a guy has a 9-inch reach, you got to get inside that pocket. It's going to be dangerous. No matter how good Burns' strength is.
I said it.
Burns by submission. That's his goal. I'm pretty sure. Coming into Saturday.
It's not on my parlay.
Okay. How about this? Jessica Andrade takes on Lauren Murphy. Andrade minus 500, Murphy plus 350. Anybody picking Murphy?
Nope.
No.
Me neither. Okay, how about this other fight? Johnny Walker and Paul Craig set to open up the pay-per-view. This is a cool fight. Johnny Walker minus 193, the favorite. Craig plus 157. I don't think it's crazy to think that Paul Craig might submit Johnny Walker because when Paul Craig fights, the submission is always there. That option is always there. Paul Craig by submission plus 275. Johnny Walker by knockout minus 125. So that is definitely the way the odds makers see it. Seeing it, Johnny Walker using that power and smashing Paul Craig. And I know AJ loves Johnny Walker. He's talking over me. I don't know what he's saying. But he's probably talking about how much he loves Johnny Walker. Shut up, AJ!
I can't hear you. What I'm trying to say, Dave, is that Johnny Walker hasn't been submitted in 7 years. I don't think, no matter how good Paul Craig is, I don't think he's going to submit him. He hasn't been submitted in 7 years. Johnny Walker, man, not only a great drink, he's going to win this fight. This is another one I'm giving the Brazilian. for the win. I think he's going to beat Paul Craig.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I got Paul Craig.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Paul Craig, too. I think Paul Craig's going to win. Let's do some parlays.
Already?
Paul Craig.
Oh.
Paul Craig, Brandon Moreno, Glover Teixeira.
Oh, okay. Paul Craig. That's a pretty good parlay. Brandon Moreno, Glover Teixeira. That is a 3-fight parlay for Freddie.
A lot of coughing going on, boys.
Oh, I'm struggling. Well, I've been sick, AJ.
Listen, man, nobody gave their pick on Shogun Rua, man. I was waiting for you, Dave. I thought you were going to say something.
I don't know if he can win. I feel bad. I think he probably loses to this Ehor guy. I don't know who he is, but Shogun, like, you know, he's not the same. Here's Fred's parlay. Team Fred. Paul Craig, plus 157. Brandon Moreno, minus 125. Glover Teixeira, plus 112. $20 at bet99.com will get you. It'll get you 202.62. Not bad. $20 to get $200. 3-fight parlay. Glover, Moreno, and Craig. That is the Team Fred parlay. Simple, sweet. I don't agree with it completely, but I don't hate it. AJ, let's see what you got. What kind of ridiculous parlay you want to give me? How many fights?
Well,
a dozen?
Listen, man. Look, you know what? Let me see. Where's my buddy Munier? Actually, Munier is fighting, man. Our buddy that gave out the call to our Irish, mobster. But Munier, Munier Laziz is fighting, man. Remember,
I think
he made a shout out. Listen,
Bon
I trained with
got
Munier, man. He's a great fighter, man. But, you know, I like Munier and all, but I was thinking about putting him on my parlay. I think I'm going to pass on this one. So I'm going to start with the top of the hill here, man. Jamahal Hill. Dave, are you throwing up there? What's happening there, man? Are you blowing chunks? What's happening?
I'm blowing my nose. I'm like struggling here, guys. Come on.
It's okay, bud. You're doing a good job, dude.
Survive.
Keep it up, Dave. You know, the show must go on. So I'm going with Jamahal Hill. Did you hear me or not?
Yeah, I heard
the top
you.
of the hill.
Yeah.
Okay, so go with Jamahal Hill. I think I'm going with I am going with Freddie with Brandon Moreno. I think he's going to end up pulling it
going
off.
down the hill from there.
It's going downhill. Then we're going to get burned. So it could be with Gilbert Burns. So I'm going to go with Gilbert Burns for the win. If I had to put something on the side, I think he will win by submission. The Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy, very simple. Jessica Andrade. And then I think, you know, my Scotch guy is going to come through. Johnny Walker is gonna take Paul Craig. I think he's going to be able to do it. He's going to have the Brazilian crowd behind him. He's going to go loco. And then I wanted to put Mauricio Rua in my parlay, but I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to try to stay away from it because the guy has 11 wins, 11 losses. He needs that win to walk away with 12 wins, retire with a win. And you know what? When he was in Pride, he was 12-1. This guy had everything going for him. He needs to leave the UFC with a victory. I mean, I think he's going to put his heart and soul into this fight. He's going to have the Brazilians behind him. I think he's going to win, Dave. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to be able to pull it off. Look, this guy.
Are you putting him on your parlay or not?
You know what? Put him on my parlay. I'm going with it. Mauricio Shogun Rua. It's going to be an interesting Saturday night.
Yeah. All right. Let's see AJ's parlay here. It's the Team AJ parlay. And he's going to go in the main event with Jamahal Hill, minus 138. Brandon Moreno, minus 125 in the co-main event. Gilbert Burns, minus 500. Jessica Andrade, minus 500 as well. Johnny Walker, minus 193. AJ picking a lot of the favorites. And one underdog, Shogun Rua, plus 175. And $20 will get you $20, $389.26 with that 6-fight parlay. 6-fight parlay. That's Team AJ.
It could be an early, Dave, it
with
could be an early
Shogun,
night, man.
Walker, Andrade, Burns, Moreno, and Hill. Okay. I guess it's my turn now. Uh-oh. I got nothing. I don't know.
What?
No. Here we go. I'm going to go with Glover Teixeira, Deiveson Figuereido, and Gregory Rodriguez. RoboCop. Whatever they call him.
Gregory Rodriguez.
I want to go with Warley Alves, but I don't know. I'm on the fence with Warley Alves. Terrence McKinney's fighting on this against Ismail Bonfim. Terrence McKinney is no joke. He's really good.
Yep.
He's been really impressive lately.
But he's not consistent, man. That's the problem with him. He has everything.
He wins, though. I think he wins.
He should win. Technically, he should win, man, and he needs this win.
I kind of want to put him on my parlay, but I don't know. I'm going to do a 3-fight parlay here. It's what I'm giving you. All right? It's 3 fights. It's Glover Teixeira. It's Deiveson Figuereido. It's the Brazil combo in the main and co-main event. And then we're going with another Brazilian, Gregory Rodriguez, in the prelim card. Minus 313. He's got a huge reach advantage over this newcomer, Bruno Ferreira, who's taking the fight on short notice. Ferreira is undefeated and a really solid wrestler, though. Ferreira is dangerous, but I think Rodriguez is going to be able to keep this fight on the feet and get the win. It's a 3-fight parlay for Team Dave. $20 gets you $117.30. It's not.
You're right. He's 9-0, man. His opponent. So it's a big one that you're going with.
Yeah, but I've been watching Gregory Rodriguez for a while. The guy is solid. He's huge. He hits like a truck, and he's got a granite chin. And Ferreira, I watched a few of his fights, and he doesn't have the sharpest stand-up game. He's got some pretty good takedowns, but they're kind of, I don't know. I don't think they're going to work. And Rodriguez is a pretty heavy favorite here.
He's a big boy, yeah. He's big. They're both 30 years old. I mean, age is not a factor here, but
Rodriguez is much bigger. He's got a big reach advantage.
He lost to Armin Petrosian back in February 26th of 2022. He lost by split decision. So, other than that, man, he has a pretty good record, man.
Yeah, he's
pretty good record. Yeah,
he's dangerous, and he's very big for a middleweight. He's huge. He's like what, 6'3"?
Yeah, he's 6'3" with a 75-inch reach.
Like the guy is ginormous. Ferreira, I think, is like much shorter. 5'10", 72-inch reach. Yeah,
somewhere around there. So the thing is that
stocky wrestler, like good build, strong, but I think Ferreira's going to piece him, or Rodriguez is going to piece up Ferreira standing up. Bam, bam, bam. So there you go. That's Team Dave 3-fight parlay. Rodriguez, and then Deiveson Figueiredo and Glover Teixeira in the main and co-main event. Okay, guys, that's our UFC 283 preview. That is the parlays and everything. I want to talk about Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane. So Francis Ngannou is out. Dana White announced this last weekend. Francis Ngannou is not in the UFC anymore. They couldn't come to terms with Francis. Dana White says, he wanted to take more money for lesser competition, which, that's just what Dana has to say. Nobody's really buying that. Francis Ngannou
Who called that?
What?
Who called that?
Called what?
I was waiting for you guys to say that AJ was. I was right on that. I told you it was going to happen in 2023. I called it, man. I said Cyril Gane will be fighting for the title, man.
Oh,
I knew it was going to happen against Jon Jones.
Did you say he was going to be champion, though?
I said he was going to be champion. I said he was going to fight Jon Jones.
I don't think he's going to be champion.
Ooh. Speak to me, Dave.
Well, I think Jon Jones is going to beat him because he's Jon Jones.
Come on, man.
I think Jon Jones is going to use the greatest tool in all of mixed martial arts, the most effective tool, wrestling.
Cocaine. Oh.
He's going to wrestle Cyril. He's going to take Cyril down. He's going to beat him up. He's going to slice him with elbows. And, I think Jon Jones is going to beat him. He's going to poke him in the eye. He's going to do whatever he's got to do to get the win because that's what Jon Jones does. Jon Jones is a winner. I don't care that he's been gone for 3 years. I don't care that he is in a different weight division. It's irrelevant. He's gone up weight in the right way. He's Jon freaking Jones. He's the greatest UFC fighter of all time, and he's going to beat Cyril Gane. I like Cyril Gane, but I think Jon Jones is just a better fighter. He's Jon Jones.
I'm almost tempted to ask you what is the right way to gain weight? And did Jon Jones really use the right way?
Well, whatever. You get off USADA and you do steroids or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I think just over time, like not right away. He didn't just all of a sudden bulk up in the course of 6 months. Like it took 3 years to kind of get big and strong, and he looks good. From all the pictures over the years, he's looked good, and the training videos, he looks sharp and he looks gigantic. So I don't know. He seems to have done it the right way. I don't think we'll really know until March 5th, UFC 285, when he steps into the cage and we see him fight again. But it appears to me that he's been doing things the right way as far as becoming a heavyweight. I think that if you just all of a sudden go up to heavyweight, it might be tough for you because you're going to be dealing with some gigantic guys. But if you start, dieting properly and lifting heavy weights and just kind of becoming a bigger guy, I think Jon Jones just kind of filled out, got older and got bigger, and it seems to me
there
like
you go.
he's done
You said
things all
a
right.
key word, Dave. You said a key word there.
Yeah, of course he's older.
He got older. Listen, he's like
we all get older
Jones,
every second of every day.
But the difference is in MMA, when you've been out of the game for 3 years, you get older and you get rusty, and you're going up a heavier weight class. The thing is that, according to Jon Jones, he's training 2 days a week, 2 times in a day. He's been training for the last 3 years. George is a different story. George is a phenomenon who doesn't stop. He's an exercise fanatic. He's in top shape. He's training all the time.
He left for 3 years, came back, higher weight class, won the title. He did it. And Jon Jones, you're going to say George St. Pierre is a better MMA fighter than Jon Jones? It's pretty tough, man. I don't know.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. He fought Bisping, who was probably the best fight for him to take at that time when he came back. There's no doubt about it. It would have been harder against other guys in that division. But I'm going to tell you something, Dave. There's a difference between going from heavyweight to lightweight and lightweight going up to heavyweight, where you haven't fought any heavyweights. And the thing with Cyril Gane, like I said, before he entered the UFC, I told you he would be champion in the UFC one day, and he came close to doing that with Ngannou in the 5th. The difference is this. When I saw this guy fighting live, AJ jokes around a lot, but AJ knows talent. And I'm going to tell you something. When I
predicted it before everybody. I'm AJ. I'm a genius. AJ knows everything.
Before Rogan, before Helwani, before Chael Sonnen, they can say what they want.
I mean, we heard all that, AJ, and he lost to Ngannou.
No, he didn't lose. He lost in the 5th round. But it doesn't matter. He made himself to a title shot. And the difference is this, is that Cyril Gane, as a heavyweight, he is so fast, man. He moves like a light heavyweight. He is as fast as a light heavyweight. He doesn't drag his feet. He's good ground. He's good stand. He's good cardio. He's good at taking shots.
He's good ground. He's good stand.
But the thing is that he would have won the 5th. He would have been champion. And you know what? If he would have fought Ngannou again, he would have beat him. And we all know that.
How do you know
that? And when Jon Jones comes,
don't know that.
Nobody knows that. Jon Jones.
I don't know that.
Would have been.
You're just a Cyril Gane fanboy, and this is why. This is why. This is exactly why I didn't want this fight to happen.
Because you knew. I called this shit, and I'm going to tell you this: Jon Jones is going to have a world of trouble. It would have been easier for him to fight Stipe. He would have been able to beat Stipe, but he will not be able to beat Cyril Gane.
Next. Stipe's next to get that Jon Jones.
You know where Jon Jones is probably going to lose pretty bad, and then next thing you know, we're going to see him back at light heavyweight when all his weight is off.
Before I put you in timeout, this is exactly why. This is exactly why
Jon Jones
when this fight got announced, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster for the show, because there is no bigger Cyril Gane nut hugger than AJ, and there is no bigger Jon Jones hater than AJ. So I knew he was going to be just another level of AJ talking about this fight, building up to this fight. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we do the watch along and we actually watch this fight. In fact, I kind of am excited about it because AJ's face and his sadness and his demeanor when Jon Jones rips his heart out and beats his boy Cyril Gane will be so sweet and so beautiful. I just can't wait to see it. And because of that, AJ, I'm going to be hammering you until March 5th all about how Jon Jones is going to beat your boy Cyril Gane. And I really shouldn't say that because I like Cyril too. I saw him fight at the same show here in Montreal before he was in the UFC, and I like Cyril, and I've been a fan of Cyril's and talking about how great Cyril is just as long as AJ. I just don't talk about it constantly like AJ does. I don't say, I told you about Cyril Gane before anybody else, even though I did, but I'm
AJ
not
acts
here.
Like he gave birth.
Yeah, exactly. AJ's out here like he's Cyril Gane's dad. I mean, you are old enough to be his dad, but you're not related to him. Thank God for Cyril, Just ridiculous.
Listen, man, don't get mad, Dave.
I knew you'd be too excited for this fight. Jon Jones and Cyril Gane has got you too hyped up. And I just think Jon Jones is the man. He always has been, and until somebody beats him and proves me wrong, he always will be. I've seen Cyril Gane defeated by Francis Ngannou in the octagon with some pretty unimpressive wrestling. Cyril lost the fight to Francis because he couldn't defend Francis's takedowns. And I've seen Jon Jones take down Daniel Cormier in the octagon. So, there's levels to the game, and I think Jon Jones is at another level. And you can blame it on picograms because even though it's a unit of measurement, you think it's a drug that Jon Jones was on for some reason. You can say whatever you want, AJ, but the fact of the matter remains that Jon Jones is the greatest MMA fighter you, I, or anyone else has ever seen. The record speaks for itself.
Finally. How many years has it been that we've been wanting Jon Jones to go to heavyweight, man? It's been a long time, man. So finally, man, and he's got to be successful. Jon Jones is the greatest. I call him Triple J, John Jesus Jones. The haters want him to walk on water. That's what AJ wants him to do, but hey, he's a human.
Yeah, man.
He's the greatest.
Human.
He's very flawed.
Listen, man. Listen, stealing wallets and shooting at homeless people and everything else, Yeah, listen, man, he's human. I agree with him. But the thing is this. He's going to meet Cyril Gane, and it's going to be a nightmare. It would have been easier for him to walk into Stipe or even get an Overeem would have been easier than getting a Cyril Gane. I'm telling you, this is not a good fight for Jon Jones. Hands down.
Well, Angelo agrees with you.
Listen, I was going to go with Jon Jones.
Angelo Cantagona says Cyril Gane is beating Jon Jones. And it's possible. Cyril is a great fighter. He moves like a cat. He hits hard. And he's going to be a tough fight for Jon Jones. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be tough, but I think Jon Jones will win a decision.
Ooh. I'm going to tell you, listen, if Jon Jones was fighting Stipe, I was waiting to be on this show and say, you know what? Jones is going to win. I'm sure you thought I was going to go the Stipe way. But I know that Jon Jones can beat Stipe. He's a different style of fighter that Jones can beat. But Cyril Gane is too similar to a Jones in a sense. But he's just a stronger, better guy. I'm telling you. Yeah. We'll see, man. It's going to be an interesting March, man. We'll do a watch along. It's going to get insane. But I'm telling you, that night there's going to be a lot of heartbroken, and it's not going to be Cyril Gane.
I think it's going to be you. It's going to be you, just broken-hearted.
Listen, man, I'm going to do everything I can to be in, Cyril Gane colors. The flag.
We got to figure out a T-shirt that says picogram is a unit of measurement.
Yeah, Dave, make a T-shirt like that. Dave, why don't you make a T-shirt?
That is funny. AJ always says picograms, like Jon Jones, he's on the picograms, like it's some sort of drug that he was on, when it was just... A picogram is a unit of measurement, and it's so small because there were picograms of some banned substance in Jon Jones' blood, and they allowed it to go because it was it's so small that it doesn't even make sense that it would be in there. And AJ, since the picogram incident, claims that Jon Jones is on picograms, even though picograms is a unit of measurement, not an illegal substance. But AJ doesn't get that, so picograms it is.
I like Fred's idea. Get a T-shirt.
I like a T-shirt that says Jon Jones is on the picograms.
Don't pico with me, man. And Jones better be clean, man. He
put
better
a
not
ruler
come
in the back.
Yeah.
He better not come in cheating, Dave, on Cyril Gane, man. I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You know, not that he has a history of cheating.
What about Francis? Like, Francis leaves the UFC.
Strange, man. It's too bad.
They couldn't agree to terms. They couldn't agree to terms on the deal. Francis Ngannou did an interview with... What's that?
He doesn't want to fight.
Well, I think he wants to fight, but maybe he's not happy with the way the UFC treats fighters overall. Because he did an interview with Ariel Helwani. Where's AJ going?
I don't know.
What just happened?
He said, I'm coming right back. And he's coming right back at some point.
All right. Well,
look, man, Francis, to me, if Francis ends up getting more money, it will be a good decision. If not, the only thing I think that could make sense for Francis is if he gets that Tyson Fury fight. Then I'm all for his decision. If he ends up fighting in PFL or Bellator against guys that are, not really there, not important no more, I hope he makes a lot of money because, I don't know. It's a weird decision, but look, props to him, man. He has his principles. He stuck to them, and in the end, somebody's going to give him a lot of money, so he's going to be okay.
Yeah, PFL's doing interesting things. Like they signed Jake Paul to fight MMA, right? Like PFL is, moving in some interesting directions. I could see them throwing a big offer at Francis Ngannou and him taking it, and it not being the worst thing in the world, but he's not going to get the competition in the PFL that he would in the UFC. That's just a fact, and I think that MMA fans will see Francis in the PFL as kind of like, he can knock out everybody in the PFL, and I don't know how much people would really care at the end of the day. They'll see Francis, and they'll say, well, he's doing that, but what does it really matter? If you're like the best heavyweight in the world and you're fighting number 50,
highlight knockouts.
Yeah, but against who? Against who? There's nobody out there.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something.
There's no big name heavyweight out there that he could
out there.
match. That's it. And the depth of talent is not that deep. But like you said, the Tyson Fury fight, that's a fight. If he could get it, sure, it makes sense to not be in the UFC. But other than that, like, if the PFL money is good and it allows him to do boxing too and whatever, he's got more flexibility with his deal, okay. But he did this interview with Ariel Helwani, and he had a few demands that I just thought were odd because he's clearly not going to get those things. I don't know if you're negotiating in good faith with the UFC when you ask for in-cage sponsorships to come back. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I understand that it's a good thing for the fighters to have, sponsors that they could wear in the cage, but everybody's wearing the same uniform, the same Venom deal. They have a deal with Venom. It's for every fighter. Francis isn't going to get a special deal just for himself, or maybe he wanted it for everybody, but he wanted in-cage sponsors. He wanted health insurance for all the fighters or for himself, or, it's not clear, but he wanted health insurance, and he wanted a fighter advocate in all the board meetings to kind of advocate for fighters when dealing with the promotion kind of overall. But a lot of those things I just don't see happening. Like health insurance, that's a big ask in a contract negotiation for fights. And I understand what Francis is saying and what Francis is doing, and he's trying to make it a better world for all the fighters. But the UFC is just going to say, yeah, no, and they're going to let him walk. Heavyweight champion or not, they're not going to change so much about their business model because one guy wants them to. Like, you can't hold the company ransom and have this huge list of demands and expect them to say, oh, okay, well, you're going to get it. Like, it seems obvious to me that Francis Ngannou was never going to sign with the UFC because if he says, well, health insurance for all fighters or I'm not signing, I mean, it's cheaper for the UFC to say, okay, well, don't sign then. Like, I get that the UFC fighters should probably have health insurance. They should probably be better taken care of. Absolutely. They're treated like independent contractors, but they're told what to do, where to be, what to wear, all this stuff. I get it. It's a raw deal. But they're not going to change the deal for everybody because Francis, needs a new contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, the things that he was asking for in his contract, I'm like, you're not going to get that shit, Francis. As much as you deserve it, it's just not going to happen. not
But
for
Dave,
one
what
fighter.
But I got to jump in here, and I agree with you. I think like the demands he made, he knew that those demands would not be met. It's like almost like he was trying to find an excuse to walk away and look like a hero because he knows that's not going to happen. Dana White is not going to bend to start giving insurance to guys that are like ranked 25, 30, 40 in the world of MMA, which is unfair. I think everybody should have some form of insurance.
If you fight for the UFC, you should be covered. Yeah.
You should be covered. I mean, like injuries and things like that cost a lot of money, especially if you get injured in the States. It'll cost you more to recover than actually the fight. You're digging out of your pockets. But the thing is that Ngannou went in there knowing that those demands would not be met. It's like he knew exactly what to do to walk away. The thing is that when Ngannou came into the UFC, before he got into France, when he came from his country, he wanted to be a heavyweight boxing champion. His goal was to be Muhammad Ali. He wanted boxing, boxing, boxing. He came into MMA, and he did really, really well. For him to walk away, he wants to get into boxing. But I don't care, how good he is in MMA as his striking game goes. But let's be honest. He cannot go up against a guy like Tyson Fury. Ngannou will get hurt. There's no way you're going to be able to do boxing with your style of boxing to a guy like a real boxer like Tyson Fury. Your style of fighting will work in MMA. He'll go to the PFL. And I don't think it's the last we've seen of Ngannou in the UFC. I think in about a year, 2, or maybe 3, we'll see Ngannou back into the UFC, coming to challenge for that heavyweight spot, whoever is there. And I think it's a good move by Ngannou to walk away to get his boxing opportunity, because his dream is to be heavyweight champion of the world in boxing. Will it happen? Look, I don't think it's going to happen, but in his mind, he thinks it will happen. But right now,
either way, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
You have nothing to lose. You can walk away, and you know what? It's not like he angered the UFC or Dana White will not look and renegotiate in a couple of years with Ngannou, because Ngannou is an MMA name for all fans. We know him. Going into boxing, he's not going to have the same success like he did in MMA. We saw that time and time again. But, we haven't seen the last of Ngannou. And I really think that, like, Cyril Gane will be champ. He'll be there for a couple of years. But there's so many heavyweights coming into this division that you know them all, Dave. All these new heavyweights that are coming are impressive.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to be
a great division.
Time.
There's a lot of great fighters in the UFC. I don't know what Francis Ngannou's next move is, but if there's even a whiff of a Tyson Fury fight, he should pursue that to the ends of the earth. Like, he should go after that fight, because that is a fight that will make him more money than he's ever made in the UFC combined. Like, all his UFC fights combined, he won't make, he'll be making way more in that Tyson Fury fight. If he can get that fight, Tyson Fury said he was interested in fighting him. I don't know what his schedule is like right now, but if Tyson Fury is willing to step into a boxing ring and give Ngannou a title shot, yes, you have to do it. You have to pursue it 100%. And if the UFC is not behind that decision, you have to leave the UFC. You have to. If you're Francis Ngannou and the UFC is not interested in you fighting Tyson Fury or pursuing negotiations or getting involved in anything like that, you have to say, well, sorry, UFC, I have the chance to fight one of the biggest name fighters in the world and make, Conor McGregor money. Guys have seen what Conor did. Guys have realized, hey, if you get one of these big-name boxers to fight you and you cash in on the pay-per-view, you can make $100 million, and you can be set for life, and you can come to the UFC whenever the hell you damn well please. And, if Francis Ngannou can get to that level where he's got Conor McGregor money, he can come and go as he pleases. So he's got to go after it. He's only got a short window of opportunity. He's 36 years old. He's got to go after it. Win or lose. Just to cash in on the money, to get that paycheck. And, hey, man, Francis Ngannou hits hard. Tyson Fury could fall down. Anybody could fall down. And you never know. You never know. He's got a puncher's chance, and he's a hell of a puncher. Crazy things happen all the time. Yeah. And if Francis Ngannou can go after it and do it. Francis Ngannou's got a pretty crazy story, leaving Cameroon and going to France and making his way there. It's a pretty crazy story. He has been through a lot. He is a monster. I wouldn't count him out. I would never count out Francis Ngannou, because he is one of the most dangerous fighters, one of the best heavyweights I've ever seen. I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't get to see him fight a little bit more in the UFC, because I think he would have done some damage. Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones was the fight they were trying to make, and my goodness, that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting. But also, I think Jon Jones would have won because I would never pick against Jon Jones.
What?
Never. I would never pick against him. So. AJ, you picked against him constantly. You picked against him when he fought Gustafsson the second time, and you saw what happened there. You picked against him in every fight that Jon Jones has had in the past 5 years. Come on.
Thiago Santos, everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Dominic Reyes, everybody.
Failed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying Dominic Reyes was a possible
No, he
win
won the
in
fight,
most
actually,
people's-
AJ.
Listen, man, that's a controversial loss, man.
Here
But
we
I'm
go.
going to tell you this. But I agree with you on one thing, Dave. When you look at like Ngannou's net worth, in the UFC and whatnot, it's around a 5 million mark or whatever, which is amazing considering that he came with literally living in the streets.
Yeah, but if you can
in
make
France.
that up to like 80 or 90 million, way better.
Well,
way
now
better.
that's what I'm saying, and you're absolutely right. The guy with his name and everything, he only look. I like that 5 million in my bank account, no doubt about it. But when you've been busting your head like Ngannou, and your net worth is only 5 million, the first fight he takes with Tyson Fury, you're absolutely right. He's gonna have 80 million in his bank account,
Yeah,
and he could go on to bigger and better things. He could be building a brand like
it's life-changing.
like Connor.
Yeah,
It's life-changing.
life-changing.
And I agree
Come
with
on.
you. And he's smart. Ngannou's not a stupid guy. He knows by walking away now, he can hit that 50 to 80 to $100 million mark in a year or two, and he'll be back in the UFC. They're going to pay him a lot more than $1 million or $2 million if he comes back to fight because the demand will be there. If he has the opportunity to beat a guy like Tyson Fury, okay, then his stock will go through the roof.
If
both
you're
in
hot,
boxing and MMA. Yeah,
if
man,
you're
it's a
hot
different
and
story.
you walk away, you could cash in somewhere else. There's always going to be somebody that's like, oh, that guy's hot. I'm going to take him and bring him in. Look at CM Punk. That guy walked away from pro wrestling, and UFC's like, oh, yeah, come fight here. You never fought before. Whatever. You're hot. You're a big name. Come fight here. The guy never fought before. He walked away from wrestling. Francis Ngannou could step into the world of boxing and get a top level fight and make tons of money, Or maybe he'll just wind up as the power slap champion of the world. That might just happen instead. Did you see that shit? That's the stupidest
crazy.
thing I ever saw in my life.
Did you
I
see
felt
the winner
bad
his
for
face,
everybody
man?
involved. All the fighters. I used to, come on,
Slappers.
slappers. All those slappers. I felt bad for every slapper and slappette. Pathetic. That was horrible. Dana
was
White
crazy.
should be
Dana
ashamed
White.
of himself. How did the state of Nevada sanction that bullshit?
Okay, go there. Sorry, guys.
I was going to say I read a Dana White quote, but I'm not sure if it was a real quote. I might have
Okay.
got had by the internet. But basically, he was saying, like, oh, boxers get hit 200 times in the face. Yeah, maybe, man. But this slap thing, man, they
It's sick.
they don't even defend. They just take it. And visually, it's awful, man. I
It's
hate
horrible.
it. I don't want to watch it.
I watched the
That's not
first
what
episode.
anytime.
I actually watched the first episode. So they're standing there at a table, right? They get slapped in the face. They wobble. They fall down. They're clearly fucked. Like their brain has just been fucked because they're getting, bam, slapped right on the chin. And then they get 30 seconds recovery time. So they can make it back to their feet 30 seconds, okay? So your brain has been wobbled. 30 seconds recovery time. You make it back to your feet. Then it's your turn to slap the other guy, right? So then you do your, and it's so funny. They're like, okay, what's the number and which hand? So you got to go right hand on 3. So you aim at the guy. 1, 2, whack. Right? It's the
Talking
stupidest
about a
fucking
sport
thing.
with only one move.
Yeah, it's one move. And they're like, oh, God. And it's like the Ultimate Fighter, right? So they got these coaches, right, who are two, like, slapper champions, right? And this one guy, he's 22 years old. He's talking like he's a pro slapper. Oh, I don't get beat, and we'll show them the techniques. And I'm like, techniques? You're standing there slapping a guy. It's fucking stupid. He's like, oh, you got to have a good chin. I'm like, yeah, no shit, you have a good chin. But guess what, man? After a few more slap fights, your chin's going to go poof, gone, and you're going to get your career is over. You don't have a career. This is not a sport. There's no skill involved. If the only skill is how hard you could slap a guy and how much you could take a slap from a guy, it's not a goddamn sport. It is so stupid. And so you fall down, you get messed up. You get back to your feet somehow in the 30 seconds, you throw your slap. If you don't knock the guy out, then he gets to slap you again. It's 3 slaps. He gets to slap you again. So you just got fucked up, right? In the last slap, you take kind of 30 seconds to get your bearings, and then you get another 30 seconds to do your slap. You do your slap. The guy doesn't fall down. You're like, oh, shit, I'm about to get slapped again. You have to hold this thing behind your back, so you're just sitting there waiting for to get slapped. Then the guy fucking slaps you, and then your brain's already scrambled, right? Because 45 seconds ago, you got concussed, right? So now you're going to get slapped on the chin again, full force from some, like, tattoo face man, and he just whack smacks you in the face. Then you're knocked unconscious. Then you're fucked. You know, I can't imagine the concussions and the brain trauma that is going on in this no-skill freak show of an event. And the fact that Dana White is treating this with the same amount of seriousness and legitimacy as he is mixed martial arts is a fucking offense to the great sport that is MMA, that involves so much skill, athleticism, and intelligence. And Dana White, the leader of this sport, one of the leaders of this sport, is on TMZ slapping his wife. But I think an almost equal offense is being involved with this fucking slap fight freak show and treating it like it's MMA. It's fucking doing so much damage to the UFC. It's taken the UFC and the perception of the UFC and Dana White back fucking 20 years. It's fucking horrible.
Dave, you sound like an anti-MMA guy from 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, it's awful, man. I don't want to watch it, man.
MMA is a sport, man.
Already.
MMA is a real sport. This is stupid.
I know,
You're
but that's what
right,
they used to say about MMA.
No, but people didn't understand like the basis of what mixed martial arts is. You got to have a solid foundation from a legitimate martial art that takes years and years to acquire, and years of serious training. You know, and this slap sport, I saw it. I was intrigued by it, but I absolutely agree with you, Dave. I mean, you're giving your face out to someone to bash your face in. I saw the champion with his face. He looked like a smashed banana. What's the long-term effects of that? Even in boxing, you don't get continuous slaps like that. I mean, you're able to, like, block, you know, weave out. You're able to do so many things to protect yourself from not getting hit with that amount of force. I mean, an open hand slap.
The guys flinch.
Could kill you.
I didn't watch it. Because, I mean, like, if I knew I was going to get hit, I'm going to go, like, ugh. I'd be like...
No, they can't, though. They can't do that.
They can't flinch, man.
How you not do it, man?
I don't know.
It's just reflex.
You know,
listen, I got to give them.
I'll tell you this, though.
Eyes open.
I'll tell you this, guys. Watching it, I hated it. It was disgusting. But
you just sold me on it.
But I think I'd be pretty good at it. I think I could be a slap fight champion.
Here we go, man. Here we go, man. Dana White.
All right, you and AJ.
We got Dave Simon.
I can take a shot.
I'll be the catcher.
And I can chop. I've been chopping a long time, though. Pro wrestling chops, I can fucking open hand slap pretty good. So, I think it's Dave, a new career for me.
Listen, as a novelty, as something to like shock value, it's there. But as an actual sport, and you're right what you said about like Dana White, he's bringing the sport back because people right now are looking at him for slapping his wife, bringing out this like freak show of a slap competition till someone dies, man, and it's going to be over. I mean, and your chances of dying is pretty. I don't want to say like it's higher than the rest of the sports that are out there. Come on, like man.
When you get dropped, you get dropped from a straight shot, man. You get dropped from a straight shot, man, and then they let you 30 seconds to recover, and you got to take another shot. Like that's not good for your brain, man.
No,
that's
of
bad.
course not, man.
How the hell? How did this get sanctioned? How did this get sanctioned in Nevada?
But listen, hear me out on this. Exactly. Because in MMA or boxing, if you get hit with that amount of force and you drop, you know, you'll be stood up. Like if you can't stand up or whatever, but a doctor will be there to make sure that you can continue. You know what I mean? There's things that have to be like looked at to see if you could go into the next step. A lot of times, man, in boxing, they'll throw it out. It's done. But here we are, like they get him up at 30 seconds. You don't know what the damage is done. I mean, no one is there to see if your eyes are dilated or what's going on.
Oh, it's so bad.
I just
really
think
bad. It's a dumb thing, whatever. But what's really bad about this is that it's Dana White presenting it, and it looks like the UFC. The referee is a referee that does UFC shit. It's Jason Herzog. He's there doing the refereeing for this thing. It's in the UFC Apex. Like, it looks like UFC, but it's really not. and it's a disservice to MMA and the UFC. But it's exactly what Dana White really wants. He just wants dummies that he can control with a personality that can slap each other with no talent that he can then promote and make money off of. But I don't think the general public will actually buy into this. It's like when Vince McMahon did the World Bodybuilding Federation.
You know what, Dave?
It's on that
what it
level.
reminds
It's just a
me?
joke. Come on. What?
Listen, you know what? It's like a lot of the novelty things that we've seen over the last couple of years, like the Toblerone ring and like five guys going after five guys in an octagon kind of things. It's interesting. It'll go for a little while, but it won't be able to haul distance, and that's the difference. It's like, if you want to legitimize the sport, it has to be like
the ratings
smart
for
at
it
some
apparently
level.
were
there
really
has to be
bad.
some form of intelligence, but. Of course, it did get so did Toblerone ring get good ratings in the beginning.
No.
The thing
I said bad ratings.
Let's
AJ.
see where it is
I said bad.
in 2 years from now.
Is he not hearing me?
Oh, he got bad ratings. Well, it doesn't surprise me. And you know what? In 2 years from now, we're gonna look back and say, why did Dana White want to do this? Like, what did it bring? It doesn't bring your credibility to another level. If Dana White was coming around and saying, you know what, I'm gonna open up a new boxing promotion and I'm gonna get Ngannou and I'm gonna get Tyson Fury to fight in this, people would respect it. And you know what? People would come out and be like, yeah, it's Dana White. He knows this game of combat sports. But to go to slap fighting,
Can we talk about something else?
It just cheapens his value.
You're right. Let's not talk about slap fighting. Let's talk about a real sport.
Because it's ridiculous.
Let's talk about a real sport. Slap fighting is a total joke. I don't like it. I watched the first episode and I hated it, and it's terrible. Fred, what about NASCAR? You want to give us a NASCAR update before we go?
Yeah, we're like 1 month away from Daytona 500, man. 1 month away from NASCAR.
Oh, so it hasn't started yet? It's starting?
Yeah, Daytona 500, man.
Okay.
No, it's the off season right now.
Oh, okay. I don't know when NASCAR season is. I didn't know they had an off season. Why would they have an off season? They're driving cars in the South.
I mean, everybody needs a
give me
vacation.
One quick second.
No, it's okay, AJ. We're going away. Let's end the show without AJ.
Oh, it's over, man.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye, AJ.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Go on to something.
Thanks everybody for tuning in here. Patrick C. Hamilton, you're the super chat leader of the night. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to Doug Hepburn as well for dropping the super chats. Shout out Angelo Contagonis, member of the team. If you're not a member yet, like Patrick, like Doug, like Angelo, join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net is what you want to do. And don't forget, we're going to be on live this Saturday night for the UFC 283 watch-along. Freddie and AJ and myself watching UFC 283. We will see AJ cry in the main event when Glover Teixeira beats Jamahal Hill. Coming up Saturday night, the UFC 283 watch-along, 10 p.m. Eastern Time when the pay-per-view starts. That's when the show starts right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.